Hello everyone and welcome to Q&A session number 8. Let's first introduce ourselves. My name is Kristian and I am POC for Finland.
My name is Michael and I'm POC for Germany.
And my name is Sasha, I'm POC for Slovenia. Before we start, I'd like to just say that since we've been, this is the 8th Q&A session, and we've been receiving some feedback and some, let's say, constructive criticism, and we're trying to improve this as we go. And therefore, we've mentioned this a couple of times in the first sessions, but now I think it's time we do it again. I would ask everybody that is posting questions in the Google moderator to be as specific as you can be, and even provide some references or some links or some questions that have already been answered, but you're not satisfied with the answer, to push us to be first you be more specific, and then we're going to try and be more specific with our answers as well, because we always prepare for these sessions, and if it's a very general question, we just cannot really take 15 minutes to answer it. So if it's possible, just make the questions very exact as possible, and we're going to try and improve our answers as well. All right.
Okay. First question is coming from Aiden, Newbury, UK. Forgive the morbid question. If by chance both Jacque and Roxanne were in a car crash or some other, and both died suddenly, what would happen to the Venus Project as an organization? Are there plans in place for this type of eventuality? Thanks. And we consulted admin at thevenusproject.com for this, and we got a reply from Roxanne, which goes as follows. Plans are already in place for the Venus Project to go forward, many of which Jacque and I and others are already working on. Everything here is being archived by a professional. Everything Jacque and I have here has been left in good hands to people who we feel would try and carry things through. I had to ask that question to myself if anything happens to Jacque, but my direction is already set and there is no going back. I see nothing else worth working toward, and it would be too painful for me personally not to work toward these ends, but you will have to determine that for yourself. It has always depended on what others do, not just myself and Jacque.
Yep.
And the next question comes from Himon, London. When and where is the test city going to be made? We don't know. There are far too many variables to take into account at this time.
Yeah, I think that covers it. Yeah. We just really don't know, folks.
Next question comes from Mr. Mason, Stuart, Florida. I was wondering if there were any plans for a test community. I believe if so, it would be great to participate. It would also get great media coverage. Well, the first question that comes into mind is, what is it that you want to test? If it's technology, then that can be tested on a localized entity, such as a experimental research and development city. But you have to keep in mind that a resource-based economy is a holistic and global socioeconomic system that cannot be tested on a localized level because it requires the declaration of all the Earth's resources as the common heritage for all the Earth's people. Failing to do that would result in the same catalog of problems that we have today, which include perpetual war, poverty, hunger, and numerous other forms of suffering.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I'd just like to add that, there's worldwide, you have all sorts of communities springing up, and so if you're looking at proof that community can actually exist, then the proof is already out there. I mean, communities are already there. Even if you're looking for just a house, it is out there. It's self-sustainable and whatnot. But what Risto was talking about before is something that cannot really be tested on just one house or just one village or just one community. It's global.
Yeah, and I'm going to put in the description a link to the aims and proposals section of the website, where you can see under phase 3 some of the goals of the first experimental research and development city.
Yeah.
Okay, moving onwards. Next question comes from Kristian, Slovenia. On TVP Seminar number 63, Jacque said that for most scientists, having an opinion means having information and experience in specific area. How do we know if we get right information? Because we know there is a lot of bad science.
Yeah, I would like to cover this question a little. So the how do we know if we get the correct answers or the right science? The fundamental problem of why this is so difficult is the fact that a huge, and by huge I mean really huge, percentage of the world's population is scientifically illiterate, meaning that they depend on the goodwill of people who have this knowledge. For example, if I'm not familiar with medical stuff, but if I go to the doctor, I have to trust him that he's right because he has the appropriate education. If I go to a lawyer, I have to trust him because he knows how the game is being played. At this point where you don't have knowledge on any particular problem, you have to believe the persons who have this knowledge. So basically means this that whatever you don't know, you have to believe. There's no way going around that. And but to provide you with maybe a few little tools, science has developed certain procedures which ensure the integrity of information, such as, for example, peer review. If you're going to publish a scientific experiment, then you have to include in this publication the clear definition of how was your experimental procedure, so that other independent scientists can repeat or at least attempt to repeat to set up your experiment by themselves and verify the outcome of that experiment. So these are certain self-correcting mechanisms which are an integral part of the scientific method. So there is actually a lot of other things and hints how pseudoscientific stuff can be identified, and I'm going to put a reference in the description of the video. I guess I found a very good link with a lot of tools and let's say kind of identifier marks where you can actually distinguish pseudoscience from the real science. So this might be very helpful, and I guess hopefully so answer your question on that.
All right. Next question comes from Steve Tess. What is the Venus Project position concerning child vaccination?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what's the position of the scientific community to that particular question. So childhood immunization, not only childhood immunization, but immunization in general, has really done a lot since their large-scale application on the population a few decades ago. And just to put a few famous examples is that really severe diseases, infectious diseases, have been eradicated completely by vaccination, such as smallpox, for example. And what's the most important thing is, and this is also where the misinformation starts, is that the benefits of the protection from vaccinations far outweighs the side effects of the possible side effects of these vaccinations. For example, if we take mumps as which is a really severe disease, it can lead to permanent long-term damages like infertility and deafness, and really severe damages to your body. And there have been studies conducted in Canada where they observed a 5-year period in the 1950s, and then observed again the 5-year period in the year 2000 until 2004. And I have the table right in front of me, and again we will link this as reference so that you can look it up later on by yourself. So speaking of mumps, during the 5-year period of 1950 to 1954, the average annual infection rate was 250 people, with a peak annual infection of 43,000 cases. A few decades later, in the 5-year period in the year 2000 until 2004, there has only been an average annual infection rate of 0.3, with a peak annual infection of 202 cases. So, so this is a very huge difference already. And if we now take a look to the side effects of this vaccination, if you look it up later on by yourself, you can see that that most side effects accounts only for 1 to 5% of the recipients of this vaccination, and severe side effects only occur in 1 over 30,000 or 1 over 1 million cases, respectively. So, so this underscores the fact again that the benefits far outweigh the potential side effects.
Okay. And
I would like to add a few personal things to this topic, which is especially in the people who are working in the medical field, like in care or in hospitals. They often did not apply vaccinations, where I think, especially in these environments, it should be mandatory, because what I want to say is that vaccinations are not only to protect yourself, but also to protect your fellow beings, because if you're not vaccinated, you are a potential carrier of an infectious disease, meaning that if you're working in care, and especially with children and old people who generally have a much weaker immune system, and you are carrying infectious disease and finally infect them, and they get severe damage or even die, then in principle you are ultimately responsible for their death because you haven't been vaccinated, although it wasn't the purpose, of course. But I think it is in the responsibility of us all to ensure as much protection towards ourselves and also towards our fellow beings. There has been many anti-vaccination movements, and this is really dangerous. And this is also, you know, in this particular case, misinformation is even far more dangerous than just ignorance, because there have been cases in Germany where the education quality is relatively high, but despite that, there's been cases in Germany where parents did not vaccinate their children because they were in this anti-vaccination conspiracy, whatever stuff, you know. And these little children, they both died or get, you know, fully paralyzed by result of the infectious disease. So this is not a topic one should joke about. It's really serious topic, and yes, I think it lies in the responsibility of all of us to do the as much as we can for protect ourselves and also our fellow beings.
All right. Can we move forward?
Yeah, please go on.
All right. Next question comes from Roy. Some people are afraid that their items will be taken away for the sake of an RBE. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I'm going to try and answer that question. I think that it is of a paramount importance that nothing would be taken away from anybody for the sake of a resource-based economy, because that would be fundamentally against what we want to do. What we want to do is have people educate themselves and basically willingly come and, you know, see what the resource-based economy is about, see the test city or see the research centers or whatnot, and then make their own decisions. And just as far as personal items or well, this is for land. For the most part, I'm talking about land. We've had numerous people already right now, like in the last 2 years, sending emails to admin at the Venus Project saying that they want to donate land. So as far as the land goes, I think there is more than enough unoccupied land. There's more than enough people that would actually give land for this project, and there is, I think, that national or whatever you want to call it, land out there. There is more than enough. So this is basically a non-subject. As far as personal items go, that's probably even less likely, because basically what you have as personal possessions would become obsolete with what resource-based economy would provide. So I think that everybody would just after these items that invariably have a short time span, after they would break down to a point where they wouldn't be repairable, they would just be recycled, and the person would get something that is new, that is quality, that is you know, long-term. So I think that if we look at the time frame of a lifetime, it would just be recycled and not taken away. Nothing would be taken away.
Mm-hmm. And then also, because it is likely that at least during some time in the transition, there's going to be people who are skeptical, or that, you know, they might have sentimental value of an item. And as Sasser said, the quality of products in today's system is fairly poor because items need to be constantly sold, so you have planned obsolescence. And what happens in that case is that when the item ultimately breaks down, it will simply be recycled and the materials will be turned into higher quality products. But you know, you could basically walk people through the old method of producing items by showing them the process from the point of resource extraction to the point where the end product is in the hands of the end user, and then walk them through the new method of producing goods, again from the point of extracting resources to the point where the item is in the end user's hand. And yeah, I think that covers it.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one last thing that I often use as an example. You know, think of yourself as somebody that, you know, has land, has house, a car and whatnot, and you have all sorts of mortgages to pay these off or back or whatever you want to call it, and then next door neighbor, so to speak, neighboring country is starting to implement something that is like a test city or a research center or whatnot, and you see this and you take a look at it and you see that it's functioning. You see that people, you know, have their needs met. People have their housing and whatnot, and they just really work, or they work what they want to work at, and they don't have any monetary restraints and whatnot. How would you react? You know, would you be careless about that, or would you maybe want to be a part of that? You know, that's how I try to vision it. So I think it wouldn't be a problem letting go of some things if you put that in perspective.
Okay. Next question comes from K. Felipe from Brazil. It's my understanding that the Venus Project is a new way of thinking, one that requires participation from everyone on some level. If this is true, then why isn't this project being crowdfunded? Well, let's first take a look at the first part of this question, which is, this is really false assumption, because let's take an example from today's world. Let's say that there is a construction yard for a block of flats next to your apartment. The personnel who are in charge of that construction project do not have to go door to door showing the blueprints and asking, what do you say, how much material do we need for this, and how do we produce the elements and whatnot. They don't have to do that. And so it doesn't really take everyone. What it requires is competent participation, meaning that people who know or have been trained in, say, landscape engineering or bridge building or whatever it is, those people will do the work in those areas. And I'm also going to include a link to a scientific, in fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is the largest fusion energy research project in the world. It's called ITER, and we're going to link their website where you can find pictures of the construction site and get a physical reference to what we mean.
Yeah, and for the second part of the question, basically is it says if this is true, then why isn't this project being crowdfunded? Well, it actually parts of the project or smaller projects within the Venus project have actually been crowdfunded, but as far as crowdfunding for the whole well, research city, let's say, it's just such a huge number that it's just not possible. It's just not practical. And also, even if by any chance you would get like this billion and billions of dollars, you'd still have to have also all sorts of other things before you could really start and just building, because you need land, you need a country that's basically going to support you and whatnot. So there's a lot of factors, and this is not just crowdsource or crowdfunding issue. I think that's it.
Yeah. And the next question comes from the same person, K. Felipe from Brazil. TVP must leverage of the work of us all together in order to have a single objective, resource-based economy. Why aren't all documents, projects, ideas, milestones, budgets, and other information available in a cooperative platform such as GitHub?
Yeah, this is a very first part of this question is very similar, and I think we've already addressed it as far as the altogether part. But the second part, why aren't documents and projects and ideas on the same free as available freely for everybody? It's basically because of the reasons that lie in the monetary system. So basically, the profit motive of people that would want to take advantage of the technology, of the designs, of the ideas, of the everything basically. So this is why the whole project is not available freely, and I think that at least, even though long term, of course, in the resource-based economy, we want to get to a point where everything is open source, quote unquote, as people like to call it. We feel that doing this from the start would probably result in huge taking advantages of some of the ideas, or just all sorts of bad things that we don't want to do. But some of the stuff that this person is talking about, projects, some ideas, some milestones, or some things that we do are seen to the general public, and it's actually encouraged to share them. Basically, all the educational materials, except for the book The Best That Money Can't Buy, and the lecture series is available freely on the web page itself, and also on YouTube, various YouTube channels. So there is already, I feel, a lot that is in the spirit of what this person is asking.
Also, maybe there's another aspect of actually not having it open source, which is the ability of project management. In order to get a quick advance in a particular project, it's better to have dedicated and well competent people assigning to that project, rather than make it open source and everybody is doing something little on, and nobody is informed on the changes which has been made, and this can be actually very counterproductive, especially in the early stages. So there's this saying, I don't know the English equivalent, but you know, if 10 cooks are working on the same soup simultaneously, it will get worse. I guess you know what I mean. That so it also has a project management aspect in not having it open source.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The next question comes from Mats, no country given or area. At this stage, would it be possible to reveal the names of the writers and the producers for the motion picture, or at least to talk about some of their previous work and/or experience? A general update on the progress would also be appreciated. And Roxanne gave a general update in, if I remember correctly, the seminar that was aired on Sunday, 25th August, and we will provide a link to that, a reference in the description section.
Yeah, it was in fact the 25th of August.
Yeah.
Yeah, concerning names of the writers and producers, you know, the difficulty I see with that is that this is personal information, and one does not simply publish personal information in the internet without the permission of the concerned person. So no, it's not possible to reveal the names unless you ask them personally.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Next question comes from Mats again. Has TVP considered a dedicated website to the motion picture for updates and the like, given its high priority? If not, I would be interested in creating one and give the motion picture more presence in social media and other platforms. And we consulted admin at the Venus Project for this. Let me quickly find the reference. Okay, so we got two answers. One came from Andrew, and he says, no, all updates will be posted on the Venus Project website as and when there are any. And Roxanne answered, we have a first draft of the film and a producer. This will be something the producer will decide at the time when it is appropriate. He has been in the business and he already has options for trying to raise funds. This is his field. And the next question comes from Mark Laguerre, Boston, Massachusetts. Is it feasible to create a team-based open source cloud user interface through AMI using Amazon's AWS EC2, in which programmers and engineers could have virtual workspace to help render 3D designed TVP cities using real-world geographic regions?
If you're talking on technical feasibility, then yes, probably it would be feasible. But if you talk on the feasibility of establishing this within the Venus project, then I don't see it happen unless you can provide the team and the funding and the know-how of how to do this. Additionally, it also, according to your question, it also has an open source component which we have explained before is possibly counterproductive.
Okay. Yeah. Next question comes also again from Mark Laguerre, Boston, Massachusetts. Could we use 3D mapping and design with applied RBE function and develop a, quote, video simulation using a game software programmers to assist in the publication of creating a, quote, time-lapse simulation of proposed real-world RBE cities and construction?
Yeah, so this comes basically down to the same problems. So since he seems technically competent, I would kindly ask you to get into contact with admin@arenasproject.com, and you could provide them with the ideas, or you could maybe explain in greater detail of what you think about, and if you can provide the team and know about the funding, then maybe you could do a huge benefit for TVP, of course. Yes. So I would kindly ask you to get directly in contact with admin@arenasproject.com in order to clarify these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when doing that, I'd just like to add that try and add some personal information there as well, perhaps a CV if you have one, or as much as experience or your technical skills as possible, so that people that will go through that will have an idea as to what your current skill set is and so on.
Okay. And the last question comes from Andrew Brisbane. How long realistically do you think it will be before our society gets rid of all money and changes to a resource-based economy? Also, what percentage of the world's population do you think is needed to be supportive of this idea before it will happen?
Yeah, I would like to address this in a similar manner that we already did one from the beginning. We just don't know. Both of these questions basically ask for speculation on our part, which is, I don't think is productive really. I think that my answer to that would be, the more people that want to make that change, the shorter the time it will pass to get there, and the less people that are involved, the longer it will take. And also, on another note, there is nowhere it is written that we are ever going to get there. So this is a highly speculative question. So I would stick with get as many people on board, or get as many people educated, get as many people exposed to these values, and we're going to have a greater chance of making a difference.
Yeah. The only realistic expectation equals I don't know. No one can predict the future realistically. So we simply do not know when or even if humanity will arrive at a resource-based economy. Nor do we know what percentage of the world's population would be required to be supportive of this direction in order for it to happen.
Yeah, we can safely say that more than there are right now.
Yeah.
So
and
you, Andrew from Brisbane, and all the rest of you guys who posted questions here.
Yeah, that's all the questions we have for this time. So
yeah,
see you next.
I would just like to once more in the ending to just say to everybody, when you post questions here, try and make them as specific as possible. Give references, even you can timestamp our previous Q&As. What didn't you find clear, or what do you want us to get into extra, and we'll do that. That's it.
Yeah, and a good practice when you're formulating or thinking of how to ask a question, think to yourself first, do I understand the factors in this question? And then if you don't understand what you're asking, find out and then pose the question. Because it is very easy for everyone, including myself, to ask a question because we're just to ask a question because we're very interested in things, but we first need to understand what we're asking before we can ask a relevant question.
And also, I would like to encourage you to check if your vaccinations has to be refreshed.
Okay, I think we can wrap it up with that.
Yeah, I think so too.
So the moderator will be opened again right after the Q&A has been posted, and it will be open until it will be open until 23rd of September.
Yeah. And the next Q&A is gonna be on October 6th.
Yeah.
Same time, same place.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Until next time.
Thanks, everybody.
See you. Bye.
Bye.